Hello, welcome back. My name is Ari, and this month's TBR is gonna be a little bit different. So first things first, there are going to be 2 TBR videos this month because I am taking part in 2 different readathons. You'll see Bookopoly today, and then the magical readathon will be tomorrow's video, so you get a bonus video this week. So, because I'm taking part in 2 readathons and one of them is based off of a TBR game, I am not going to be doing my normal Dungeons & Books TBR this month. Instead, I'm going to be doing Becca's Bookopoly, which I got a tiny little board that I printed out here. So this is kind of like Monopoly. I mean, it's based off Monopoly, but it's very similar to my game where I'm just going to roll 5 times and then move around the board and, read things based off of what I roll. My little marker, just to tie it in a little bit, I'm going to use my D20 that I normally play with as my marker for this. Just, a little bit of a cutesy tie-in. So I'm going to get into the rolls for this in just 1 second, but first, let's talk about what I read last month. Alright, last month I had 6 rolls, but only 5 books. So the first book was Random Letter Generator, which I read An Easy Death by Charlene Harris. Roll number 2 was Skip a Book, so I didn't read a book. Roll number 3 was a double, and another Random Letter Generator. For that I read Red Seas Under Red Skies by Scott Lynch. Roll number 4 was a fantasy, and for that I read Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas. Roll number 5 was a Goodreads Choice TBR book, and for that I read How to Argue with a Racist by Adam Rutherford. And roll number 6, the final roll, was an ugly cover. For that I DNF'd Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, but I tried to read it. From there, let's get into the rolls. So roll number 1 landed on a train station, and that was the Person's train station. And for this one, it says to read a book with a word in the title that refers to a person. A lot of options are listed on the board, but other options include Emperor, Empress, or someone's name. For this prompt, I am going to read a volume of Paper Girls. This is volume 1, but I think I want to try to read a couple of volumes this month, so I don't know which volume I'm going to get to. So a volume of Paper Girls, don't know which one, but I have 6, so at least one of them. And then girls is obviously the word that fills that prompt. The next roll is a hyped book. So this is just a book that you've heard a lot of people talking about. And this one I'm going a little bit off script. And I am going to read The Last Graduate by Naomi Novik. Now, this is the 2nd book in a series and it hasn't come out yet. So I am going off of the hype of the first book. I know a lot of people have put the first book, which is called... Oh, I remember the series name, but I can't remember the name of the first book for some reason. The first book is called A Deadly Education, and it's part of the Scholomance duology, I think. I think it's only a duology. But I gave the first book 5 stars last year, so I'm super excited to read this. So I'm hyped for it. And a lot of people are reading the first book, so I assumed they're hyped for the 2nd book. So it's counting. The next roll landed on community shelf, and it was a double. And my community shelf card was Jar of Doom. So the game was like, ha ha ha, let me curse you. So we're going to grab the Jar of Doom, and I am going to pick a book that I don't want to read from the Jar of Doom. All right, let's go with this one. What are we reading this month? Oh no. This, I think this is pronounced the flatulence, but that sounds like farting, so I don't know if I'm actually pronouncing that right or if the name is supposed to sound like farting. This is a book by a Black author written in the 1960s, maybe the 1970s. I don't know what it's about because it just has the author picture on the back and no description. All I really know about this is I've heard reviews about it that say this is like the driest thing you were ever going to read in your entire life. So there's a decent chance that I DNF this, but I'm gonna give it a shot this week, but I'm gonna give it a shot this month, and hopefully I like it. Next roll was for Becca Rec, and Becca is the creator of this game. If I didn't say that earlier, I really hope I did. But it's a book that she has recommended at some point. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and read one of my 5-star predictions for the year, which is Rhapsodic by Laura Thalassa, and it's an ebook, so I'm going to put a cover over here. This is a book that she has recommended many times. It's one of her favorite like fantasy romance series because she's really big on fantasy romance, and I trust her judgment on fantasy romance, which is why this is a 5-star prediction. So that is my Becca Rec book. The final role is either disability or mental health rep, and for this one I am not sure. So for me, my problem is a lot of books I don't realize have disability or mental health rep until I'm actually reading the book. So I need to find something that has disability or mental health rep without necessarily knowing what the book is about. For this one, I am going to read The Traitor of Beru Cormorant. I don't know if I pronounced that right, by Seth Dickinson. This is a book that has been recommended to me as a book with like my favorite trope, where it's a unlikable female character and like the weirdest fucking plot ever. So that's what I'm going to read for this, and this was on a list of books with mental health rep, so I'm hoping it actually does. If it doesn't, I do have a book that I can replace this with, or just like an add-on to like that I definitely know has mental health rep. It's just not something that I really plan to read or wanted to read next month. So that is Disfigured. This is about like disability in fairy tales. So apologies for the abrupt outfit change, probably angle change, and all of that, but I was going through editing this and realized that I didn't roll the extra roll for the double, so I needed to do that. So this next clip came later. If it's weird, a different angle, that you know why. So the last prompt is to randomize my TBR, and for this one I am going to use Goodreads. I have 389 books on my want to read shelf, so I guess I could show that to you. Do we see this? I don't know if that works. I'll take a picture and enter it here. But I have 389 books on my want to read shelf, and I'm going to use a random number to generate 1 through 389. A couple of the books on the shelf don't release yet, so I will just have to skip that one. But hopefully there's only like 4 of them that aren't released or that I can't get access to, so hopefully that's not actually a problem. But let's go. All right, we have the random number generator set from 1 to 389, and we generate 41. So an older book. Let me look at my Goodreads and figure out what 41 is. So for Goodreads, I had to go to my computer to actually see what the numbers of each book are on my TBR. It doesn't show in the app, and it apparently doesn't show on the webpage either if you go to the webpage on your phone. So, yay! So I went to my computer, and number 41 was So You've Been Publicly Shamed by Jon Ronson, and I'm gonna hold this down here and maybe put the bar up there so you can see that it was actually 41. This is nonfiction. I believe it's about cancel culture, and I think it's a little bit dated, but it's been on my TBR, my physically owned TBR, forever, so it's a good excuse to go ahead and read it. That is everything for the Bookopoly-thon rolls. I'm going to go ahead and cover my others in this video. Buzzwordathon, the phrase is dark, I think. I think it's just the word dark. Do you hear the squeaky brakes outside? I'm sorry. The Buzzwordathon phrase is dark this month, so I am going to read another comic for that, which is Dark One by Brandon Sanderson. I've had this for a while. I don't know why I haven't read it yet, because it's a comic. It's probably one of those things that I've been saving for when I'm like, if I need something that's really good, that's really short, I want to save this. But I don't really need to save it. So I'm going to go ahead and read this for Buzzwordathon this month. Also take place in Book Cover Book Club, but the announcement for this month, the prompt for this month, hasn't been announced at the time that I'm recording this video, so I don't know what book I'm reading for that, and I don't know what the prompt is. But if it happens, I'll cover it in my end of September wrap-up. So the theme for this month is to finish reading my Goodreads Choice Awards books. So the Goodreads Choice announces every year at the last few days of October, and you start getting to vote on nominees through November, or the last few days of October and into November. I read all of the fantasy nominations, and then the rest of the year I read at least the winner of almost all of the categories and at least one other book, and to see if people voting chooses the winner or if my guess of what I would like the best in that category is actually the better book. So I need to wrap that up into September and October. October I want to leave for the spooky season, so I'm going to wrap it up in September, which means you'll probably get a video on it in early October. And I have 4 books left that I need to read for that, so that's the major theme. I also have some arcs and some series that I know the 4th or 3rd or something book is probably going to be nominated for Goodreads Choice Awards, so I'm trying to catch up on those series. So I'm going to kind of be doing all of that this month, but I'm not going to really tell you what those books are, but expect videos on Goodreads Choice Awards and arcs. So there you go. Again, tomorrow there will be another TBR video up where I'm going to go through all of the books that I am reading for the Magical Readathon, hosted by G at Book Roast, and I guess look forward to that. Thank you for joining me today. If you are interested in seeing my TBR tomorrow Or if you're interested in seeing my very own TBR game that I play every month, make sure you hit that subscribe button and come back and join me. I love having you here. If you don't mind giving me a thumbs up to help my discoverability on this video, I would appreciate it. And I'll see you next time. Bye!